Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Captain Marvel, issue number 40. This was a good comic book that necessitated two different artists. You can tell very clearly from the onset why there needed to be two pencilers on this. I'm surprised that there's only one colorist. The art in this comic book really had a lot to say about the story, about where it was going, what was about to happen next. Really fantastic ideas in here. And then the writing. Oh yeah. Let's get talking about who made this comic book. Let's move on from there. This is called Trials, Part 3. The writer is Kelly Thompson. The artists are Alvaro Lopez and Juan Figueri. The color artist is Jordi Belair. And the letters and production, VC's Clayton Cowles. That guy's getting more and more work, I'm telling you. Cover artist Juan Figueri and Jesus Abertov. And there's a variant cover by Kerry Nord. I think Kerry Nord is like the dedicated variant cover artist for this book, man. I see him a lot, and I can see why. So Carol is back in this world again. Remember, this is a magical punishment to have to go and slay this dragon, every couple of days, every couple of minutes, whatever it is. They've been here for a long time. The magic users putting her on this trial to see if she's worth whatever the hell it is that she's worth. They're trying to find something in her. I don't think they certainly haven't made it clear to me what it is that they're looking for exactly. There's a lot of generalities there. That's fine, because magic should be filled with vagaries. So the idea that I can't understand exactly what they're looking for attests to my inability to understand magic. It's difficult. And what point of view am I looking at this from? Carol's, of course, protagonist, hi. And Carol can't understand what the hell's up with magic. There's an explanation of magic in here. A very, very layman's, finite, basic understanding of what magic is. And the main word in here is emphasized over and over again. And you could tell almost exactly what it takes to find not only the secret and the answer as to how to get out of this situation, this continuous Mobius strip loop that she's in, but to also understand what we need to know, what the writer, what Kelly is trying to get across to us about magic. I loved the messaging in here. And it's not like this is a life lesson kind of thing. And no, it's literally just a very basic understanding of what magic actually is. There's several things that happen in this comic book which are actually really cool. And things that help you to understand relationships. Again, this is the magic. You want to talk about magic? This is the magic of Kelly Thompson making characters that could be black and white, 3D, 2D, whatever, just basic characters on a comic book page, and bring them to life better than any movie that I've seen so far. I mean, I cannot praise her ability to humanize inanimate objects. You know what I'm saying? Pictures on a page, right? Digitally imprinted. We learn more about Carol Danvers and Wanda Maximoff's, whatever the hell her last name is nowadays, Scarlet Witch's relationship. We learn more about their friendship, right? Because we've mostly focused on Carol's friendship with the two Jesses, right? And a little bit with Hazard. I forget what her name is. Anyway, and then of course her relationship with Rhodey, right? But here's even more. Carol's not exactly a social butterfly, is she? And yet, she's going to have these intricacies of her character. And you find out more about her character and who she is and why you would want to be her friend, simply by her interactions with people. And her interactions with the two Jesses are different from the other, like with Jessica Drew and Jessica, the alias, what the fuck is her name again? Anyway, that Jessica Jones, Drew and Jones. There we go. DJ, that works. So her relationship with one is different than the other, right? And obviously vice versa. And now her relationship with Scarlet Witch, also very different. And the friendship that not just the friendship, but the desire for that friendship, to maintain that relationship, the way that they can I don't know, maneuver their friendships. It's really great. They don't take advantage of each other, but they know how much they can test each other, how much they can push each other. They know each other's limits. And that's a great thing. They know when name calling goes from teasing to actually more than that. Like, you actually get that sense from reading this comic book, and it's fantastic. I mean, like, the understanding of people and relationships, it's funny that a reclusive Sasquatch would have more understanding of relationships between people, friendships and otherwise, than I would. You know what I'm saying? And I'm far from reclusive. I'm just antisocial. I barely tolerate you people. I'm joking. Kind of. But it was great to see. But on top of that, and I'm really only building on that because the inverse to that is the level of hatred and vindictiveness that Amora, the Enchantress, would have. We talk about toxic, well, I don't. There are plenty of people who will talk about toxic masculinity. I would like it to be pointed out, and don't take this as offense, take this as this is a very simple psychological understanding that, for the most part, any therapist will tell you. Men who are toxic are men who are raised in a single-parent household. Now, are all single-parent household boys raised to be toxic? No. But that's the problem. When you have a mother, no father in your life, but you have a mother who is vindictive or angry and has that emotional, that hatred, that sense of resentment towards the father, that child, there's a good, strong chance that that boy is going to become toxic, right? They have that toxic masculinity. What makes toxic masculinity? Bad mothers. We have the data to prove it. What makes good men? There are a lot of things that can make good men, but we know what makes the toxic men. Now, what makes a woman toxic? That's a little bit harder to understand. But Amora is very toxic, and she checks off all the little tick marks. She has them all right there, right? Her resentfulness, her bitterness, her sense of holding a grudge, not being able to just let bygones be bygones. There was a book called Don't Sweat the Little Shit. I got it from my friend Jason on my 17th birthday. You know? Maybe it was my 16th birthday. It was one of those two. And I never actually read it, but you get what I'm saying, right? It's one of those things where it's like, just let some things go. But Amora can't. And I get it. Oh, you killed my son. You took his magical powers. You destroyed him. You decimated him, right? All of this stuff. Yeah, but look at the things that he was doing. It's the idea, like the sense of you can't be introspective. You can't take any personal responsibility. Ove was the very definition of a toxic male. And he was very clearly, and that's a theme that Kelly has done since her very first issue of this book. The idea of the toxic male. And she doesn't do it in an angry way or a finger-pointing way. She's like, these are bad guys. This is the kind of man that women don't like. This is the kind of male that other guys don't like, you know? But with Ove, it was a very, like, he really thought that he was some kind of masculine dude. And no, he absolutely wasn't. He was toxic to the core. And you see why. Look at who his mother was. Look at who his father was also, but he didn't really have his father in his life for a very good portion of his life. But he had his mother, and look at who his mother was. And it's the perfect representation of where this comes. I think Kelly might have been reading some psychology articles recently. But that's the idea of putting this together and really giving you a good character portrait of these people who not only just two-dimensional, lines with some colors on it, mass-produced, but more specifically, characters who she created. She whisked these characters not from someone else's imagination, but from her own imagination. I'm talking about Ove in this particular case. and that manufactured relationship that she made between Amora the Enchantress and Namor the Submariner. It's amazing to think about, like, what it would take to make a character like Ove. What would it take? Oh, I've got an idea. And boom, there it is. I love the way this comic book is put together. I love the very basic... Look, there's a part in here where Carol, we all love Carol, but is Carol the definite... Does Carol have more willpower than anybody else in the Marvel Universe? Abso-fucking-lutely not. Right? Captain America is first and foremost and highest on that list. No question. Anybody who's got questions, check my email. You know what I'm saying? No. No one has better willpower in all of comics than Captain America. After that, you could argue Superman. You could also argue Hal Jordan. I'm pretty sure she's met at least one of the Green Lanterns. Kyle Rayner, am I wrong? In one of the Justice League and Avengers crossovers, right? I think that was the George Perez one. God rest that man's soul. Saint Perez. We're gonna start that. Make Saint Perez a thing. Yeah, no, she doesn't have the most willpower, but is saying nobody has more willpower than me. Is that a Carol thing? Absolutely. That is 100% a thing that Carol would say. If there's anything that Carol Danvers would say, it would be, I've got more willpower than anybody. She could stand right next to Captain America and say something like that. He'd be cool and be like, sure you do. You know what I'm saying? A little mental pat on the head, right? But that is something that Carol would say. That is such a Carol thing to say, right? I loved the way this comic book was presented. I love the way the characters were presented. I love the idea, once again, that there were two very distinct art styles in this universe, outside of this universe. Talk about the art. The very last page on here, that's some pseudo-Cthulian bullshit right there. I sat here, I looked at that, I was like, I could stare at this for a while and get a little bit scared in my soul, looking at this picture that I'm seeing. That was just, like I said, it's borderline Cthulianism right there. Wow, really good. This last page, the art, you're gonna look at this and you'll be like, yeah, I see what the professor is talking about. Holy wow, that's I don't want to look at this. Turn the page. Turn the page. And I'm very much looking forward to the next issue. Guys, this is a fantastic book, and I want to end on this note. Issue number 40. This is volume 10. The first volume went to issue, I forget what issue it went up to, but I'm pretty sure it went past 40. I don't think any other volume, 2 through 9, has gone to issue 40, right? I'm pretty sure this is the only volume, aside from the original volume, with a different character, mind you, the original Captain Marvel. There has been no Carol Danvers series that has gone on longer than this one. And it's still going. I'm pretty sure it's still going strong, or at least strong enough that Marvel's willing to keep it. And Marvel is fickle as funk. Fickle as funk. They will cancel you if you look sideways at them. So the idea that Kelly has gotten to issue number 40, I'm looking forward to issue number 50. I'm looking forward to issue number 75. I'm looking forward to the centennial issue. As long as she wants to stand on this comic, I will continue reading this comic. It says a lot. In today's day and age, where you have a character not named Spider-Man. Dude, listen, stop for a second and think about this. Marvel, in the past 10 years, has canceled the Fantastic Four, their original flagship superhero team comic book. Before they were even called Marvel, they had the Fantastic Four, and they canceled that shit within the past 10 years ago. Carol Danvers, who doesn't have nearly that long of a history, right? Not nearly. And yet she has 40 issues, continuous, straight. After 10 volumes, 10 times trying, and she's got this going. I'm going to let that speak for itself. Guys, I'm out of here. Like the video, watch an ad, subscribe to this comic book. I'll talk to y'all later. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.